Frank, a lot of people don't understand this. I certainly don't. Gas prices, crude prices, volatile gas prices at the pump. What's going on and why are we having these fluctuations?
That's a great question, Andrew. It's two things are basically happening. So there's a lot of countervailing forces right now in the oil market. There's a concern that if the prices rise too high, it impacts demand. If demand goes down, then prices drop, right? There's a second concern about, while it's not just fundamentals on supply, demand, and inventories, the market also anticipates what's going to happen. So earlier we saw a run-up because of Chinese demand. We saw a run-up over supply losses in Libya. Then we looked at demand losses in Japan, and the market's trying to adjust to all of this. On the gasoline market, clearly, the biggest component of gasoline prices are crude prices. So our formula is roughly 2.4 cents a gallon for every dollar increase in the price of crude. So at $100 oil, $2.40 of that per gallon is crude price at the pump. The additional pieces are refining, marketing, distribution charges, and then state, local, and federal taxes, right? So that probably adds to the point of getting gasoline prices at about $3.70 in the current crude market.
Sometimes in some cities, prices are well above $4 for just a regular gallon of gas. Americans are not used to paying these high prices. Do you anticipate that this is going to be happening throughout the summer, and what kind of effect will this have on summer travel?
So again, 2 points. We saw this in 2008 when prices rose. At $3.75, there seems to be a break point. People start changing consumer behavior. And yesterday, MasterCard, of all things, which registers credit card sales at the pump, showed a decline at the beginning of April versus March and versus February. So typically this time of year, we start increasing gasoline demand as the weather gets better, as we head towards the driving season. That would indicate that at this price level, people are starting to change their behavior patterns. The second piece of that is that gasoline retailers typically are small independent operators, and so they don't charge at the pump what the crude oil and gasoline price is that's in their tank. So typically they take delivery, but knowing that 30 days hence, when the next truck comes in, if the prices are higher, since they're a cash flow basis, they need to generate enough revenue to pay for their next shipment. So every time crude prices go up, generally you see gasoline prices occur almost immediately to capture that increase so that they'll have enough cash generated to pay for the next truck, not the current delivery that they have.
It's a fascinating business because it's at the very local level where they're deciding prices, but then also it's an international business, of course. And what are the key international events that you're watching right now that are affecting prices?
So economics, geopolitics, infrastructure and transit issues. So we're looking at production in Saudi Arabia, we're looking at the elections in Nigeria, we're looking at the situation in Libya, we're looking at piracy in Somalia and the concerns in Yemen, what would affect supply transportation routes, right? Supply, delivery, and transportation routes. And then you look at economic demand and what the forecasts for higher prices and limited economic growth or lower economic growth mean to GDP performance, and then oil demand or energy demand on that side too. So it's both of a balance. And then you look at product markets, and that's really, as you said, it's a local issue. So depending on how far you are from the transportation or supply source, what your federal or state or local taxes are, what your lease payments are, and what's the competition within the regions. So even in the United States, you see a disparity in prices, and the crude supply on an average import level is probably the same.
Is Libya, the conflict in Libya, still driving the situation?
So no, I actually think that the market had already factored in Libya. The concern right now is that if Gaddafi continues to actually bomb oil facilities and ports, that if there is some resolution, that production doesn't come back on the market anytime soon. But I think the market's already taken that into account.
Frank Verrastro, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure being here.